Nicolas Gomez and Camilo Hernandez. In this video, we're going to show you the final project. The 5G potential implementation we choose is smart cities, focusing on the development of infrastructure. Now we're going to talk about trends and uncertainties. The most attractive markets to invest in. For the time in history, more people are living in urban than rural areas. Thus, around 55% of the world's population lives in cities, which means an economic activity that translates into 53.56 billion euros. In fact, by 2050, it is estimated that 17% of the population will be living in cities, and the smart cities market will amount to 1.29 billion by 2020. Now, city repair. Large-scale interventions such as stadiums, convention centers, or large place parks require an investment in political, social, and financial capital and time. However, long-term social and economic benefits cannot always be assured. Low-cost urban planning strategies, also called tactical urbanism or city repair, respond to this financial problem and providing quicker responses. Small-scale improvements are increasingly seen as a form of substantial investment. This approach allows a large number of local actors to test new concepts before making major political and financial commitments. Another advantage is that it allows you to observe the results in real time, even during their implementation, in addition to the fact that they are low investment interventions. These three concepts we mentioned before are the trends and uncertainties. So the third actor are the citizens. Their resource are taxes, and their role is the use of the final resort or the final structure or infrastructure. The next one are private businesses. This relates to companies that have particular interests. Their resource are money to invest in projects of particular interest, as I mentioned before, and their role are improve infrastructure and technologies for greater competitiveness and more earnings. And the last actor are smart cities consultants. Their resource knowledge for an effective infrastructure development, and their role advise who's corresponding to generate effective projects related to smart cities. So, as Camilo was saying, this is the ideal scenario of trends and uncertainties because it's the best financial way and best development way, with consultants taking part, with government taking part, and construction construction enterprises taking part for a better result for the citizens and businesses. In this case, we see that the government was replaced by particular interested companies, as we will see here, or businesses, and the results will be different because in this moment, or in this case, the customer segments will not be only the citizens, but from the business perspective will be customers and potential partners. And in the same way, the cost structure and the revenue systems will change. In general, because the consultants are still in this VNC, there are some aspects of that remains still the same. So for the next one, we'll see that the consultants are no longer here. So in this case, the government will take part with the villagers and citizens just as before, but in this case we're talking about ineffective times of delay. And as in that way we'll see it in the canvas. Because in this case we are talking about low cost builders because it will be what the government thinks it's better and the way that the Colombian government works, that low cost builder will be better. In that same way, the key resources for the government will be the acquisition of multiple contracts with several construction companies. This means that for the objective of achieving smart cities, the Colombian government in this particular case will be acquiring as much as they can so they can build, foreseeing in that perspective better results. And it's related in that way that the cost structure, if it's not delivered in time, consider refinancing. What this means, as the Colombian projects normally work, it has a deadline, and after that deadline, sometimes the project is undone. So it has to be refinanced to delay it on time and be able to use by the citizens. In the last case, we see that still no longer consultants, the government is replaced by private businesses, and in this case, we see that there are more particular interests involved. What this means. If we look at the canvas, we also see an impact on the citizens, but will be in this case, there will be non-financial objective companies trying to found the buildings to be developed. What this means? The donations and contracts with low-cost construction companies generate the construction of smart cities infrastructure. This is related with what we were saying at the beginning of the presentation about city repair. Without having a strong financial help, it will be necessary to look at other ways of improving into a smart city environment with what we have in this moment. And crossing the four scenarios or the four VNCs, we have this result. Thank you.